Hello and welcome to the 2023 Macao Grand Prix, the season finale for the ARWS this season. On pole for the second time this season, it's Gary Pacer in the March 16 as they try to finish off the season quite strongly, of course, with that win at Fuji, and now looking to hopefully make it 2 from 3 here in Macau. Alongside him, it's going to be Takuma Taki in the Racing Point and BVN in the other Racing Point. Aki out qualifying his teammates. He's made a occasional habit of that, which is good to see for the Japanese driver. Let's see if he can make good on that qualifying pace in the race. 4th place on the grid is Martin McFry for Foxdale, looking to potentially take home a 3rd win of the season. We've not had a driver this season win more than 2 races, so if McFry can win this race, of course he will be the winningest driver on the season. On row 3, we find Edvard Holm in the Simpson and Nathaniel Cameron in the Jones. Cameron is seeming to be on a bit of a hot streak of his own, of course with the wins in Simmons Plains and at Suzuka. Could he potentially make it 3 wins for the final 4 races for Jones? We'll have to see how that pans out for him. On row 4, we have Emma Kickert, the 2nd fastest Dutch driver in the world, and one of 3 drivers who could potentially take their 3rd win of the season here today. Next to her, it's James Wilmington, the winner from Norris Ring. He starts 8th. And on row 5, we've got Benoit Vauclé in the 2nd of the 2 Foxdales, and John Bean, the top qualifying Block Monster. This, of course, is the final race for Block Monster in this, guys, before the team starts running as the BYD factory team from 2024 onwards. Bean's teammate, Akira Yamamura, is starting from 11th on row 6. Next to them is Diego Alvarez Torrente in the 2nd Jones. Jesus Castel had a bit of a disappointing qualifying, only placing 13th on the grid, while his teammate qualified on pole, of course. Monica Flatter also down in 14th, a bit behind her teammates as well. Anya Voizu has outqualified both of the Euromotors, very impressive for her in the Scuderia Adriatica, looking to bookend her season at least with a solid result. Of course, she opened the season with a win in Monaco, but hasn't had much luck since then. Hopefully she'll be able to turn it around here today. And alongside her is one of the Euromotors, it's Koyomi Seto, and her teammate, for this race at least, Jorge Alvarez Torrente, 3rd of the Torrente siblings, is 17th on his, I believe this is his ARWS debut. Andrei Kremnitsky will be starting 18th for Checkmate, out-qualifying Carmen Alvarez Torrente, one of the main title protagonists through the bulk of the season, but not in a position to take the championship from Phillippe Nicolas at this stage, but still will look to round out her season with a strong result here. Václav Malish will be starting 20th alongside her, and in 21st on the grid we find our championship leader and the overwhelming favourite to secure the Drivers' Championship in this race. It's Phillippe Nicolas for Holiday. And he's actually out-qualified one of the W12s in this race. A very impressive qualifying effort from Nicolas. That's Saituna Deleda from the Somalian driver for the Kahama Bentley outfit. Very impressive effort by Deleda. She's out-qualified her teammate, Kaelon, who, to be fair, does not seem to be taking this race very seriously. It's both of the mechas on row 12, Naoki Shinjo and Tomo Kazama. Less than a tenth of a second between those two. And on the final row of the grid, we find Kaelon and Humbert Moyamudie, who had a bit of a disastrous qualifying effort, nearly 3 seconds off of Lon's pace. Hopefully he will put in a better show in the race. And with that, the start of the race is just moments away. Getting ready for the start here. It's raining here in Macau for the final race of the season, and Gary Pacer will lead them into turn 1. Good start there from Pacer. He closes off the challenge for Takuma Taki. Edvard Holm with a good start up into 3rd position. BVN down to 4th. Emma Kickert up to 5th off the start. Martin McFry into the barrier off the start. Loses a bunch of positions, down to 9th. We'll have a look at the back of the grid, make sure everybody's made it through the opening of this race safely. Looks like nobody's picked up any damage. So it doesn't seem that, although I think McFry and somebody else did get into the wall there at turn 2, the Mandarin Bend. That was didn't seem to cause any major damage, but currently up front we've got Gary Pacer leading Takuma Taki, a good start from Edvard Holm into 3rd from BVN, Emma Kickert 5th, and rounding out our top 10 we've got Nathaniel Cameron, John Bean, James Wilmington, Benoit Fouclay, and Martin McFry down to 10th off the start.
It was McFry and either Wilmington or Monica Flatter. It was one of the red cars that was following the Foxtail that went wide left at Hotel Mandarin. But clean otherwise, especially through Lisboa corner for the first time. Always the kind of the tricky overtaking point here, as we've gone through most of the lap, heading to the Melco hairpin for the first time. The slowest corner on the whole ARWS schedule, full lock and some to try and navigate this really, really tight right-hand hairpin that you really would want a handbrake for, trying to make sure that you're not running into the car in front of you or get run in from behind. You're keeping your front wing in check as Yamamura goes way wide, and there's a whole bunch of calamity behind him as they're trying to just navigate the situation at the Melco hairpin for the first time. There's someone side by side. It might have been Jorge Alvarez Trente and Anu Voizu trying to figure things out as end of the first lap. Gary Pacer has a little bit of a gap over Takuma Taki. This is a track where you want track position all the time, and the pole position is probably one of the most advantageous of the whole entire season. As someone goes wide in turn 1, going for side by side, as Bastian van Nieuwenhuizen going past Emma Kickert at Hotel Mandarin. Kickert nearly goes into the wall there. He's going to lose another position, potentially as well, as Koyo Masetu's in the pits from the back of the field, has rear wing damage on her Euromotor. Might have been from that massive concertina effect that was happening at the Melco hairpin. Papa San Francisco Hill through maternity for the second time. Home with a little bit of real estate between him and Bastian van Nieuwenhuizen behind. Cameron staying in 5th position. He's going through the Solitude S's here. Very tight, very narrow, not a lot of real estate to try and make an overtake stick. You need to let the race kind of come to you through this top end of Macau and then try and make the move either at Fisherman's R Bend or at Lisboa corner at the start of the next lap. It's Pacer, Taki, Holm, Van Nieuwenhuizen, Cameron, Kickert, Bean, Wilmington, McFry, and Flatter as another car with damage. It's the second of the Foxtails. It's Benoit Vauclair. Might have gotten run into as well, but I don't see anybody with missing a front wing ahead of him. It's just Vauclair might have gotten run into and just let that main plane just kind of flap in the breeze. He'll be coming in for an emergency service pretty quick here, but it's going to be tricky for everybody else trying to get past him as the back end of the field catch him at the Melco hairpin. Pacers extended the gap just a little bit to Taki. It's 2.5 seconds between the March 16 and the leading Racing Point. Another second back to Edvard Holm, who is going to be under threat from Van Nieuwenhuizen pretty soon here with the amount of slipstream that you do get on this front straightaway. It's a weird track for setting up is Macau. You want a really aerodynamically stable car, but you need to make sure it has a lot of top end, with most of this back end of the circuit having one of the highest trap speeds in ARWS. So we're looking at Nathaniel Cameron under attack from Emma Kickert as they get past Maternity Bend, go into the Solitude S's for the third time. Not too far behind Van Nieuwenhuizen. Really tiptoeing through here. It's so easy to crack the throttle a little too much, get a little bit of steering angle, and just find yourself in the wall through this section here. Going through turn 18 into 19 here. That is 18, this is 19. It's a long sweeping left-hander that you need to be tight to your outside and then really cut inwards to get a good drive off into the Melco hairpin. And it's giving Van Nieuwenhuizen a little bit of breathing space with Cameron playing a little bit of defense from Emma Kickert behind. Diego Alvarez Trente also hasn't had the best start as well. He's outside of the top 10 initially in the second of the Joneses, kind of trapped in no man's land. There's now a little bit of a gap between, I'm gonna say we're looking at a bit of a gap between Akira Yamamura and Andrei Konominski.
Yeah, that'll be the that's just the standard power difference between the
That's the
i3s
standard
and
power difference.
W12s, yeah.
I feel like it's being exasperated a little bit just with the way the Melco hairpin is. The car in the barrier at Hotel Mandarin. It's Emma Kickert. She is in big trouble. Yellow flags flying at Hotel Mandarin. She tries to go around the outside, but the car just goes straight underneath her, and that is a hard hit into the Armco barrier to her left.
Yeah, that's a heavy hit. Let's hope she's okay. That's definitely a very hard hit. One of the quickest parts of the circuit as well. One of the quickest parts of the circuit. Oh, that's one of the Euro motors. That's Jorge Alvarez Torrente into the wall. The same part of the track as well. Very dangerous corner at Hotel Mandarin, and I think that's well, he's coasting down the straight there down into Lisboa, but that car is not under power anymore, and Jorge Alvarez Torrente will be out. So already a couple of cars coming into some trouble here on the tricky street course here at the Macao Guia Circuit, especially in these treacherous wet conditions. Up front, though, it's looking good for Gary Pacer, who's opened up a 2.5 second gap over Takuma Taki, and who himself has a 2.5 second gap to Edvard Holm in third.
Holm turning into like the cork in the bottle just a little bit for Van Nieuwenhuizen, even though they have pretty comfortable gap behind to Nathaniel Cameron. The pace between Pacer, Gary Pacer and Takuma Taki has stabilized just like a little bit, although it looked like Taki had a little bit of a problem at the top of the hill. So the gap between them has grown by about 0.8 that last time around. It has also given Nathaniel Cameron a little bit of breathing space with Monica Flatter having her issue. So he's pretty much running his own race. That was actually Monica Flatter was having issue. It was Emma Kickert who had retired last time around. That's an electrical issue, or an issue of some sort. It's an emergency service for Monica.
Yeah, also seems to have a problem with her rear wing as well, so that she'll need to get that repaired as well. We're expecting to see either a 1 or a 2-stop strategy from most of the runners in this one. Again, track position, all important here. It's very difficult to make a move. Really, the only place you'd expect to make a move is, of course, at the end of this high-speed section heading into Lisboa Corner. So we return now to see the continuing battle for third as Edvard Home continues to fend off BVN. Home once again now left as the sole remaining Simpson, as it's another early retirement from the race for Emma Kickert.
Kickert's last finish was her victory in Austin a couple of months ago. It's just been snake bitten ever since, and this has just been another round of that, and she's been one of the better drivers we've had all season. But this is a pretty uncharacteristic error for the Dutch driver, with the other Dutch driver now sitting in fourth with Van Nieuwenhuizen, now 3.5 seconds clear of Nathaniel Cameron. Pacer, Taki Holm, Van Nieuwenhuizen, Nathaniel Cameron the top 5. John Bean, James Wilmington, Martin McFry, Jesus Castell, and Diego Alvarez Torrente makes up your top 10. McFry hasn't really made a whole bunch of progress after his start, where he dropped a couple of positions, kind of stuck behind James Wilmington at the moment, but not really under pressure from behind, with Jesus Castell another 3.5 seconds or so behind. And Van Nieuwenhuizen not really too keen on trying to make a pass on Edvard Holm, but Martin McFry is keen on trying to get past James Wilmington here, under braking for Lisboa Corner. Nothing really between the two, as Wilmington makes it pretty easy on McFry. That is McFry up to 7th at the moment.
Now looking at Anya Voizu now lining up Václav Malish for a pass for 13th position. Voizu with a bit of a poor start. She's fallen behind both the checkmates. Dispatches the second of them and now is going to set off after the Slovakian Andrzej Kremnicki for 12th position. These three are already pulling away quite significantly, though, from Zaytuna Deleta, who is 4th among the W12s and holding her own. She's got Carmen Alvarez Torrente right behind her, who has been certainly one of the big surprises in how well she's been running this season. But right behind them is Phillippe Nicolas in the Holiday, who, again, turning in another fantastic performance, the exact kind of performance we'd expect to see out of the driver we expect to be crowning the ARWS Drivers Champion at the end of the race here today.
Yes, as they stand, it will be Nicolay being crowned the champion. The scenario that would have Naoki Shinjo becoming champion is that Nicolay would need to retire before the 90% race distance, so before 5 laps to go, and Shinjo would need to finish 4th or better. The gap between the two is 42 points, and 5th place does score 42 points, but the tiebreaker would still go to Phillippe Nicolas on countback of having the second best performance between the two, as Jesus Castell looked like might have had a bit of an issue trying to get past Wilmington at Hotel Mandarin. The best finish for both Naoki Shinjo and Phillippe Nicolas is a 3rd place finish, which Nicolas did get at Suzuka, but he also has a 4th from way earlier in the year, which is his 2nd best finish. Well, for Shinjo, his best finish is a 5th, but John Bean has a big issue at the top of San Francisco Hill. Runs wide left into the barrier, and he is out on the spot with a major collision for himself in the block monster.
Yeah, that's a very dangerous part of the course. Very high speed into a big braking zone. Fully loads up the car. You fully load up the car going through that corner. So not difficult to not too surprising to see a car in trouble there wind up hitting the barrier. I think Bean had a little bit of a transmission issue on his car as well, but any hope of getting that car back to the pits ended very quickly once he slapped the wall there.
Yeah, it crests kind of early, which unloads the braking, and you need to really be mindful of your brake pressure, otherwise you will just kind of do a four-wheel lock-up and go right into the barrier there, and that's kind of what happened to John Bean. That is our third retirement of the race so far here in the Macau Grand Prix. Pace just still leads from Taki. The gap 4 seconds the last time they went around, working lap 7 of 53 so far.
Also of note is it seems to be a very poor race already for Euromotor. Of course, with that early retirement for Jorge Alvarez-Torrente hitting the wall in Hotel Mandarin, and Koyumi Seto does not seem to be accomplishing very much either. She's stuck amidst a battle amongst all the V8s behind the very lackadaisical effort of Kaelon as well, who is getting roundly beaten by his debutant teammate, the Somalian Saituna Deleta, who is certainly holding her own, at least, if not particularly wowing anyone in that car. And again, I'm not entirely sure why she's gotten that drive for this race instead of Pierre Saint-Laurent, but she's showing she's at least worthy of a shot potentially in the future.
The Auto Reject 3000 regular did okay for herself this year. Nothing really spectacular, but definitely needs a second go of it in like a really big wings and slicks car. But notable with Bentley Kamaha and the Best in the World outfit, it's kind of looks like there's like effectively 2 teams running out of that garage this weekend. It's a pretty full set of staff and crew working the side for the Somalian national, but for Kaelon, it's been a kind of like watching a skeleton crew. It's kind of like watching if they kind of run out of funds and just brought enough people to make the car able to race to fulfill the contractual obligations both to the team and to the sponsors. But he is here. He's still circulating well off the pace, his relative pace, but maybe he's got other things on his mind. Looking forward to 2024 more and wanting to get this race behind him as soon as he can. So we're following one of the checkmates, that is Andrei Krediminski, holding up Anu Voizu, who recently got past Vaclav Malish not that long ago, trying to make her move up the field in the second or in the lead Adriatica with Carmen Alvarez-Torrente behind. She'll get a good run here out of the Melco hairpin. It's going to be the nearly 9-degree right-hander at Fisherman's here. Does a little bit better job than Krediminski to get through there, but not quite capable of getting it past to stick at our bend, the last corner on the circuit, this 22-turn Macau street circuit. But she'll be right on the back of the checkmate Bentley and maybe going for a look at Lisboa as we see Jesus Castel doing so on James Wilmington for position. Wilmington has been dropping just a little bit of pace here and there. It's going to give Castel 7th position in the second of the March 16s as we now look back at Krediminski and Voizu heading to Lisboa corner themselves. Voizu just a little too far back to try and go for a move on the leading checkmate for position as Deleta defending from Carmen Alvarez-Torrente at Hotel Mandarin. Torrente forced to back out of it, trying to make the outside stick. It's going to give Phillippe Nicolas an opportunity at Lisboa corner, but he's electing to stay behind the second of the Adriatica. As Kaomi Seto and the remaining Euromotor will get past Shinjo, using the extra horsepower that she has to get past Naoki Shinjo for position.
Pacer still holding the lead for now. He's eased out that lead to about 4 seconds from Takuma Taki, but both of them are really starting to get away now from Edvard Holm. Is there a problem for BVN? There may be a problem on the second of the two racing points, and indeed, that is a transmission failure for BVN. He will not finish this race, and this will be a very disappointing end to a very disappointing season for BVN and Racing Point. They were expecting for far more from that driver and team. Instead, they will only walk away with the one race win. And
only two.
Sorry, go ahead.
And only 2 finishes on the year for Bastian van Nieuwenhuizen. It was that third at Brands Hatch, and then the victory at AS Fartway in Trondheim, Norway. That's been it. It looked like there was an opportunity that they might have turned it around a little bit with that back-to-back finishes. Vöckler has spun at turn 19, trying to get past Kalon, gets it into the no man's land and blocked the track a little bit on the run to the Melco hairpin.
He's really struggling to spin that car back around.
To turn around. He's got a little bit of time before the next car approaches here.
So somebody needs to teach Benoit to do a 3-point turn here, but now he's
needs a lot more steering lock, but he has to stop here to let Mormucci get past. Got a lot more time now to try and get it upright and facing the right way with Gary Pacer just getting through the Solitude S's now. But here comes Gary Pacer to the scene. He's Benoit Vöckler stopped. Then it's going to be Taki another 4 and a bit seconds, and then he's got a little bit more time to Edvard Holm.
And Benoit Vöckler finally gets it going again, but that's going to cost him any hope of a reasonable finish here. Maybe he can get back through the V8s and the W12s, but I think even that will be a tall order for him with the amount of time he lost through that spin. A bit of an unforced error, just put himself on the outside of Kalon. Lost it, I think, on the
in the grey, effectively, yeah.
Yeah, on might have been some standing water out there, and Carmen Alvarez Torrente is out. That is the second of the 2 Adriaticas. That's an engine failure for the Harman motor in the back of that Adriatica, and Carmen Alvarez Torrente, at one point an outside title contender, will be finishing her season a little earlier than she would have hoped, unfortunately.
Things were looking good on her championship drive, and then she had a retirement at Simmons Plains, and then another one a few weeks ago at Suzuka, which really put the nail in the coffin for her championship bid. Pacer still leads the gap 4 seconds. It's another 9.5 to Edvard Holm, who has now no pressure from behind with the retirement of Van Nieuwenhuizen. Cameron will move up to 4th, looking for another good result in the Jones, as Jones Couture ends their partnership with Ford at the end of this race. James Wilmington now under threat from Diego Alvarez Torrente and Akira Yamamura, not too far behind in the leading block. Mall says Jesus Castel is out of the race in the second of the March 16s. He grinds to a halt on the run to R Bend, and he will retire from his position in the top 10.
That's another Ford engine failure. They've had their difficulties, and that's the major reason why this Jones Ford partnership is coming to an end after a decade of working together. They will have to find other working partners for 2024. It'll be a big change up to the established order within ARWS. I think that is Anu Voisu making a move indeed on Andrei Kranitsky. Was held up behind the checkmate for a few laps there, but has finally made it through and is now up into 9th position in the Adriatica.
He was teeing it up for a while and finally got a good enough run on this front straightaway to get past the Slovakian national, moving her into 9th position, doing really good job in the now remaining Adriatic as we're looking ahead up at the top of San Francisco Hill.
Yes, this is...
We're looking at Kagami Seto, or Setu. Got Phillippe Nicolas, we got Monica Flatter. Flatter did have to pit earlier for an emergency service, now trying to get through the back markers on her alternate strategy in the Bert Andeveld machine.
Looks like Seto's made her way forward a bit. I think I've heard reports that Hildegard Shevchenko-Neumann is very displeased by her team's performance in this race, and perhaps rightfully so. They do not seem to have the pace at all around this track. And but Seto has now moved ahead a few positions, gotten around Phillippe Nicolas, and is at least trying to fend off the recovering Flatter, at least for now. As we're now closing in, I think, on the opening of the pit stop window of the two-stop strategy. That should be expected in about 3 laps. Here as Diego Alvarez Torrente gets around James Wilmington into 6th position. That puts the Jones now in 4th and 6th as they try to offer a bit of a successful end to their partnership, if nothing else, with Ford. But yes, the pit stop window should be opening at the beginning of lap 15 for the two-stoppers. We're not expecting the one-stoppers in for quite a while, though, of course.
Wilmington is starting to struggle a little bit on his tires. It's a fairly soft compound they bring here to try and make sure to get the temperatures up. As Kagami Seto is slow at Hotel Mandarin, she might have hit the wall somewhere trying to get past Saituna Deleta, and she went straight off on the outside at Hotel Mandarin, and she's going to be out of the race in much the same way that her teammate was in Jorge Alvarez Torrente.
I think Monica Flatter may have also made the same mistake there again, with perhaps unsighted with all the spray in front of her, and so that is going to be a double DNF for both Euromotor and Team Bert Andervald in this race. I think both of those drivers perhaps having a little bit of words there as now Flatter's car retiring and Seto's will shortly join her. But yeah, very, very disappointing result for both of those teams, losing most of their cars due to... Actually, no, James Wilmington is still going. What am I talking about?
We got one of the racing points in for service. This looks well off schedule. It's Takuma Taki in with an issue. Trying to get a good look at what's going on. Might be a little smoky from one of the tires. Might be a piece of debris in one of the brake ducts of Taki's racing point. Got a couple of the crew members kind of clearing everything, doing a big once-over on a Koenigsegg powered machine, but an emergency service for Takuma Taki. He's going to be back out at the Macao Guia Circuit. Didn't lose a whole lot of positions. He was in 2nd. Will cycle back through in 8th, and he will be on the two stop here by force, not by choice at this point.
Yes, I believe he was. Yeah, they have had to convert him from the one stop to the 2-stop strategy here. So not ideal for Taki, but at least he is able to continue the race for now. That has elevated Edvard Holm into 2nd place, now 16.5 seconds behind the leading Gary Pacer, and Nathaniel Cameron onto the podium positions currently 25.7 seconds off the pace. The pace of Pacer, as you may say.
Gary might be on the 2-stop as well with his relative pace, being able to comfortably eke out a gap here relative to everybody around him. So he might be amongst the first to pit on schedule. And it's going to shoot him out only in 3rd place between Nathaniel Cameron and Martin McFry, which means he's still going to be relatively in clean air, being able to run his own race. And at this point, that might be looking at Gary Pacer's race to lose here, assuming that the March 16 makes it to the finish.
A bit of a misunderstanding there. That's Humbert Moyamuti holding up Benoit Vuclet. That is a battle for position, though, to be fair to Moyamuti in that situation. But Vuclet makes it easily past on the run down into Reservoir Bend, and Edvard Holm as well past the Holiday rider. But yeah, as you say, it's looking very good for Gary Pacer. Of course, the issue with the two-stop, of course, is if it puts you back in traffic, then you'll lose a lot of time. But lose a lot of time trying to get around the cars who are running slower than you. But right now for Gary Pacer, he's running in clean air as he has the entire race, basically. And if he can manage this strategy ideally, if March 16 can calculate the strategy in a way that avoids dropping him into unnecessary traffic, this is certainly looking very good for him to take that second win of the season.
I mean, the unnecessary traffic for him is what he's going to be approaching in the next couple of laps. He's going to be putting a couple of cars their first lap down here in the next couple of laps, assuming he doesn't come into pit for his first service. It's the back end of the field going through our bend at the moment, but as it stands, he's going to be coming out of his first pit stop in third place, and everyone around him's kind of running their own race as well. Edvard Holm 18 seconds behind Pacer at the moment. It's another 7 to Nathaniel Cameron in the leading Jones, and it's another 12 to Martin McFry, and that kind of dictates some of their strategy positions at the moment. It is definitely McFry on the one stop for sure, and if Pacer can be ahead of McFry when he comes in for his service, that's going to dictate the rest of this race at the front of the field for sure. Edvard Holm going to be coming around to take his 15th lap. It's another couple of seconds for Pacer as he's now dealing with putting Benoit Vucler a lap down.
Yeah, Holm was, of course, held up at the start of the lap, so that's probably compromised his speed all the way down on the previous lap here. So it's, again, really really working to the benefit of Pacer, as, of course, that gap now over 20 seconds. And we're only 15 laps into this race. Even if Holm's on the one-stopper, it's getting to the stage now where Pacer could well just easily overhaul Holm through the on sheer pace. I think the best battle on the track is currently this little scrap here between Wilmington, Yamamura, and the now two-stopping Takuma Taki, who has caught these pairs a battle for 6th position. They're about almost 50 seconds off the pace of Pacer right now. Wilmington, I have to imagine, is probably on the one stop here because he does seem to be, again, struggling for pace, probably just looking after those tires and nursing his car around to try and make this strategy work for him.
He was struggling early on, might have been dealing with some front right graining in Isbert and Veld, which has allowed likes of Cameron McFry and initially Van Nieuwenhuizen to get by. Now giving Yamamura and Taki a whole bunch of heck right now, with Yamamura kind of not really having much better pace, but it's more a case of Wilmington falling back rather than Yamamura coming forward. And it's going to give Taki a bit of a chance to try and get past both of them in the next couple of laps here. But he needs to get it done pretty quick to try and recover his race.
We're down now to 18 cars still running with these early retirements here. Still a long way to go.
A good run out of our band all over the back of the block monster. He's going to try and take the inside into Hotel Mandarin.
Oh gosh, that was close.
Hard by Yamamura, but he's still got a good run through. He's going to take the spot after Yamamura had a big moment trying to not get into the wall himself. Side by side between the two, heading into Hotel Mandarin. And you can see Yamamura kind of catch a bit of standing water and the car go straight, have to back out of the throttle. And it's going to give Taki the position even before they make it to Lisboa corner.
That's a good break for Taki. He needs to make his way through this traffic as much as he can. And of course, he was running in second position before that unscheduled pit stop. So he needs to push hard and quickly on these tires to try and regain that lost track position. Now crawling all over the back of the TBA of James Wilmington. Might be thinking of the move at the Macao hairpin. I wouldn't advise it though. It's probably better to try and get that move done into our bend, if not set him up to make the move at Lisboa.
One of the things with ARWS coming here is that the standing yellow that we traditionally see at the Macao hairpin, just no overtaking, just take it single file, is rescinded just for the ARWS event. The lower categories, the Guia race, the Macau City race we saw yesterday, they still all run with the standing yellow. It's just for ARWS they do lift it just with the relative pace difference and the fact that overtaking is incredibly difficult in the fastest cars that they have ever seen race here, just to make sure that things can be a little bit more orderly, especially with the lap traffic, as we see Taki and Wilmington both put Humbert Muramuchi a lap down, and then Yamamura is going to be doing the same here as they get to turn one.
That was a good run by Taki out of our bend. Thought about trying to get it side by side into Hotel Mandarin. Not really the place to make that kind of move, and a little bit offline through there. Don't think he's got the ideal position to try and make that move past Wilmington, as we're now seeing Anu Voizu into the pits. Scheduled pit stop for Voizu in the sole remaining Adriatica.
This is the first of the two stoppers coming in on schedule. It would look like deep in the field is the Estonian. We were expecting Pacer maybe to come in amongst the first on the two stop, but he is still circulating at the front of the field, continue to extend the gap to where we're at the point where he might be thinking about like coming out in front of Nathaniel Cameron when he comes in for his service. The gap between Pacer and Cameron is up to 33.5 seconds, with Phillippe Nicolas and the leading of the Holidays coming in for his first service of the day.
Yes, I think this is probably a bit of a conservative choice by the Holiday team. They don't need to risk him being on the one-stop strategy. Just make sure that he's able to safely make it around on the two-stop strategy. So we've also seen that is the Mecca, I believe, of Naoki Shinjo also in the pits, mirroring the strategy for Phillippe Nicolas. Again, if Shinjo is to win this championship, he will have to do it through Nicolas retiring, so no point trying to beat him on the track. Just got to try and make it through a race of attrition. That seems to be the plan here at Mecca for this race.
And they need a major race of attrition. We're talking Shinjo needs to finish 4th or better with a Nicolas non-classified finish, which still a long ways to go here in Macau to get to that, but still 18 or so cars still circulating on the track as well, so still a long ways to go, both in terms of laps and still cars remaining on the circuit. Pacer leads. Gap is 25 seconds between him and Edward Holm. And that's a bonk of the outside wall of Hotel Mandarin for Takuma Taki, but it seems to got away with it. Big Puma Sparks. And it's going to give Wilmington a little bit of breathing space, as it's given Yamamura a chance to get to the back of the racing point.
don't think that's damaged the. I don't think that's damaged the front wing at all, really. Not in any meaningful way for.
No suspension damage either. Hit pretty flush. Did the Japanese driver, so nothing really damaging in terms of toe links or uprights. As he's right to the back of Wilmington already as they enter the Solitude S's here. Wilmington's really struggling for his tires. Looks like he had gotten initially through a bad wear cycle about 10 laps ago, but now it's really struggling again, and the relative tire difference with Taki having to come in for an unscheduled service starting to really work against the Canadian. As Pacer is in for his first service of the day from the lead, he comes in at the end of lap 18. Either going to be exiting the pits in second or third.
This is quite deep into the window for a two-stop strategy, so definitely very good pace here from Pacer and the March 16 crew. Very routine pit stop.
Good stop here. It'll be Edward Holm going through at the very least. And coming out of the pits, it's going to be tight between Pacer and Cameron, but Pacer is in front. Cameron's going to have a big run of momentum as Pacer catches one lapped car. He'll catch and pass one of the mechas before they get to Lisboa corner. It is Naoki Shinjo, who also came in for service. With we got one of the Joneses in. It is Diego Alvarez Torrente coming in for his first service.
Again, Torrente will be on the two-stop strategy. Very good pit stop from the Jones crew here as they get him back out.
Slightly less fuel that Torrente took compared to Gary Pacer. And
Torrente comes out in a big gap of nothing, basically. There's really only the car of Humbert Moya-Moutier anywhere near him, so this will be a good opportunity for Torrente to get some push laps in and perhaps try and make up the difference between himself and Martin McFry. As I believe that is indeed Václav Malish into the pits as well from 10th place. Voizu goes through into 10th now as we see the Checkmate crew ready for Malish. Looks to be a little bit of a longer stint for Malish here. .1 seconds for Checkmate there, and he will resume the race in 12th place between the two Kahama Bentleys. Let's have a look at the Kahama Bentley pace, because Kalon's just put in a 2-minute 24.5, which isn't particularly quick. His best is a 2:23.2. Delata in the other Bentley was actually a bit slower on that previous lap as a 2:25.2, but her best is a little bit quicker than Lon, so again, the German just really phoning it in this race, it seems. He just, it feels like since he was effectively eliminated from championship contention, he just doesn't have any real interest in putting together a anything more than a workmanlike performance. Also, it seems we've missed Takuma Taki getting past James Wilmington in amidst all the pit stops. This is good for Taki's bit to try and get himself in position to perhaps sneak back onto the podium here. He's got a bit of clear air between himself and Martin McFry, about 10 seconds ahead of them. So hopefully he'll be able to make up some of the time he lost while trying to get around Yamamura and Wilmington there.
Taki and McFry do still both owe us a pit stop here. It'll be Taki pitting in about 15 or so laps for his last stop of the day. McFry is on the one stop. He's going to be pitting in the next, I'm going to say about 7 or 8 laps. So it'll be Taki kind of on the attack the entire rest of the way, and he'll have a little bit extra advantage with the shorter wait time for fuel relative to McFry. So it's still game on for fourth between the two of them, as Gary Pacer is flying at the front of the field at the moment. Gap between the two is shrinking at a rate. It was 3.5 seconds last time around. It's probably going to be closer to less than 1, with Edvard Holm catching a couple of lapped cars here in his Simpson Sunbeam. It's I believe it's Benoit Vauclair. Yeah, I believe it's Tomo Kazama, and there's a couple more ahead of them too. Gap now is less than a second, with Edvard Holm now getting past the Mecca here before they get into the Hotel Mandarin, as Holm will be able to do so as well. That Mecca did check up just enough, but it's giving Pacer a pretty good run to Lisboa corner, but he's going to elect to stay behind the leader for now as they go up to San Francisco Hill.
Yeah, I think that was probably the right decision there for Pacer. He's oh my gosh, is he go? Ooh, ooh.
Makes a lot, clips the wall on top of San Francisco Hill. Looks to be okay.
That okay? Just as I was about to compliment him on. Sorry, go ahead.
Incredibly brave thinking from Gary Pacer with the difference in tires and fuel between the two of them. Trying to get something done before they get through the rest of the lapped cars here, going through the Solitude S's. They might catch that next lapped car here at the Melco hairpin, if not sooner, as Pacer is just wanting to give Edvard Holm the hurry up here, as the two of them are just trying to survive this run at the top of the hill, get to the Melco hairpin and into Fisherman's. It's the battling, I believe it's Saituna Deleta. It was not Saituna Deleta, it's Benoit Vauclair and Kalon here battling for position after Vauclair's issues. As we see Konominski coming in for service. Going into the Melco hairpin, big checkup from Holm and Pacer with the Foxdale and the Bentley Kamaha ahead, fighting amongst themselves. Don't need to give way with a lot of urgency, as Vauclair will go to the inside of lawn at Fisherman's for position. Edvard Holm will lap lawn here between Fisherman's and R-Bend. Both of them will be able to do so, as Vauclair will come into pit for his service. They cleared the lap cars there as pretty much as well as they could, as Pacer got a great run out of R-Bend, but he's going to be on the outside at his Hotel Mandarin, and he's
oh my gosh
on the outside. Big crash.
Gary, you did not need to do that. Oh my gosh. That is Gary Pacer out of the race. The race was his to win. He was clearly the fastest car on track, but my goodness, there was just no need for him to be pushing that hard to get around Edvard Holm in that situation.
Holm did everything, didn't do anything wrong, and just kind of held his line and forced Pacer to try and take the outside, and Pacer just completely missed it through the middle and the exit of Hotel Mandarin and clobbered the wall, and he is out of this race.
And that is now giving Edvard Holm the prime position to win this race. As Pacer now tumbles down the order out of the race. He's now firmly on the one stop here. Cameron on the one stop, McCry on the one stop, and Taki, the leading two-stop driver, now 29 seconds behind Holm. So effectively has a pit stop over the yeah, Taki's already made his first pit stop anyway, so all the top four still need to pit again. So Holm in an excellent position here.
Yeah, it's gonna be about the relative pace between Holm and Cameron, and then McFry and Taki. Those are the kind of the two battles at the front of the field, effectively pairing themselves off, with Yamamura and Wilmington still battling for position behind in fifth.
Saying that though, McCry is only about 6 seconds behind Cameron, so maybe the Foxdale could put the Jones under a little bit of pressure here. We'll have to just see how this race plays out over the final 31 laps now.
Cameron had a pretty scrappy lap last time around. Mile lost a lot of time dealing with some of the lap traffic, as well as the yellow flag at Hotel Mandarin with the retiring Gary Pacer. Gap now between the two. Edward Holmes slow. He's stopped at the end of Lisboa corner, and he is out of the race from the lead. Cameron will assume the lead in the Jones.
Oh my gosh, is that not just a microcosm of Edvard Holmes' entire season? It feels like the guy just never gets a break. I cannot believe the amount of times Edvard Holmes has been in a podium position and the car has just given up on him. Heartbreaking engine failure there on the rebadged Simpson Sunbeam rebadged Ford EcoBoost motor in the back of that car, and Edvard Holm, once again, as he has in the entire 12 race season leading up to this, will not see the checkered flag.
And that's going to move Nathaniel Cameron in the lead of this race, potentially going from 4 victories to end Jones' partnership with Ford through these Asian flyaways. Win at Simmons Plains. Excuse me, I'm having a little bit of a moment here. It was a win at Simmons Plains and a win at Suzuka after his retirement in Fuji, which also directly benefited Diego Alvarez Trente, his teammate, getting on the podium. There's a big possibility that Jones could roll back the clock and just pull off an absolute insane run through these Asian flyaway races. He's going to need to get through these lapped cars here pretty quick. I believe that's Humbert Muramoutier and Tomo Kazama. He's going to be putting a lap down here. Waiting for the timing and scoring to give a full reset with our new leader. It's actually Nicolas ahead in 14th, but being put the his first lap down.
Yes, this is a battle for position, by the way, between Kazama and Nicolas. Nicolas there, oh! Running well wide to Hotel Mandarin, but that doesn't enable Cameron, the leader, to get through without too much trouble, as we're now seeing Akio Yamamura in the pits.
And it gave Kazama the position as well, able to sneak through on to the right of Nicolas, was the Japanese driver, with Yamamura coming in for his only service of the day.
I think Nicolas is a little frustrated getting stuck behind Kazama here because, again, this is a battle for position. Both of these cars still need to pit once more, so it is a straight fight between them for the rest of the race from here. And Nicolas, I mean, he doesn't specifically need the points
to fight this.
But
it's also the frustration of him probably choosing the best time to try and let past the leader through, and then Kazama just taking advantage of the moment. But there is definitely a difference in pace between the Mecha and the Holiday at the moment, with Nicolas all over the back of the Mecha Mugen. Gap between the top two is at 6.5 seconds, and it's another 5.5 to Takuma Taki. Gap between McFry and Taki has continued to shrink a little bit. McFry's going to be due in for a stop in a long fuel fill in a little bit here. It's going to release Taki before he comes in for a second stop, probably about 10 to 15 laps or so.
Takuma Taki could still win this race. He's taken out a lot of time from Martin McFry here, and McFry hasn't exactly been terribly off the pace of Cameron in front, so that is a very quick racing point right now. We're not quite at the halfway point either, so Taki's definitely in with a shout of winning this race, I feel.
For Taki, it's just going to be a matter of how he hits the lap traffic when he makes it through. Nicolas tried to take a look at Kazama at turn 1, gets the door slammed in front of him by the Japanese driver. That's going to put him under duress from McFry a little bit. He's going to, with blue flags waving here into Lisboa corner, potentially going to let him go here into Lisboa or up through San Francisco Hill, as we're now following Wilmington come in for his first and only service of the day, finally getting those completely worn out wet tires out from his machine. Gonna let Yamamura through, it would appear, coming out of the pits. As McFry is out of the race, we have yellow flags at the top of San Francisco Hill. He might have hit the wall.
I think he must have hit the wall, yeah. Yeah, that's bent left front suspension on the Foxdale, and Martin McFry, I think, might have been trying to push a little bit to catch Cameron now that the race win was on the table. Pushed a little too hard, got into the wall, and now he is out of the race.
He might have put himself in a bit of an awkward position trying to get past one of Phillippe Nicolas or Tomo Kazama as well, and ran straight off at the top of San Francisco Hill, which will release Takuma Taki into a pretty comfortable second position with still one pit stop to go for him. And it's a Jones 1-3 as well, with Diego Alvarez Trente kind of quietly moving up the field as a result of the chaos around him. It is Cameron Taki, Diego Alvarez Trente, Akira Yamamura, James Wilmington, your top five. It'll be Anu Voizu, Andrei Konominski, Zaituna Deleta, Vaclav Malsh, and Kay Lon will be the last car on the top 10 once McFry cycles through on your timing and scoring.
And that order looks like it might change very quickly, as Vaclav Malsh is putting Zaituna Deleta into a great amount of pressure, although the Somalian is doing a great job at resisting the Czech rookie here. Forcing him onto the outside at Hotel Mandarin, and of course there's just no way to make a move around the outside of that corner, so Malsh had to back out. Gave Deleta a lot of breathing room through the rest of the circuit as they head through the twisty part here up San Francisco Hill.
Yeah, going through Maternity Bend here. Sharp right-hander into a quick little short shoot into the left, which begins the Solitude S's as Benoit Vuckler is slow.
I think he might have hit the wall at Hotel Mandarin.
Hotel Mandarin.
And indeed he did. That was a battle between Nicola and Kazuma, and I think Benoit Vuckler just got a little bit offline there, trying to get around Kazuma, and wound up into the barrier, as we've seen so many times already this season. Yeah, I think there was a bit of weaving there from Kazuma. She wasn't really sure exactly how to handle the Foxdale coming up so quickly to lap her. Just really unfortunate for both of those drivers. I don't think that either of them really fully knew what the other was doing, and now Benoit Vuckler, in short succession, makes it 2 Foxdales out of the race due to crash damage. Meanwhile, in the lead battle, I'm seeing now that Taki is within 10 seconds of Nathaniel Cameron, so definitely able to push in this middle section of the race. Is the Japanese driver seeking his second win of this? As Wilmington's back in. That's an electrical issue on the TBA, but he's able to get that looked at. It does basically remove him from any hope of getting back around Akira Yamamura. Those two were battling for position. And now we're seeing Anu Voizu elevated into an incredible 5th position. A very impressive run for the Estonian. As again, she still owes us a pit stop, but had a bit of a poor start to the race. Worked her way through the battling checkmate teammates, and now is finding herself basically by herself, able to run her ideal lap times from now on. Is now seeing Deleta into the pits. Scheduled pit stop for her, as she's also on the one-stop strategy. That was a 2:19.9 by Cameron on that previous lap. We'll see what Taki did on his lap. 2:22.9. Yeah, that's likely.
He was dealing with a bunch of lap traffic there.
Yeah, that was just dealing with traffic there. So they're both in clear air now. No cars between them, so we'll see the ultimate pace of both Cameron and Taki this time around, assuming that Cameron doesn't come in for his pit stop, because he's now past half distance, so he's due in any time now.
Yeah, and again, it will be a shorter fuel stop for Taki as well, to kind of shrink that gap a little bit more to the favor of the Japanese driver. Not a lot of pressure from Diego Alvarez, Trente, or Kiri Yamamura behind. Only the top four within a minute of Nathaniel Cameron at the moment. And for Taki, with that earlier brake issue, it might have been a bit of a blessing in disguise. Put him completely off sequence to everybody else, to where he can basically run his own race the most of the race distance, and it's kind of worked out in his favor here.
Nicola is now pressuring Kalon for 9th position.
This is the difference between the two-stop and the one-stop kind of at work here. This is kind of the crossover point between the two, of Nicolay pitting pretty early on the two-stop strategy about 10-ish laps or so ago. Lon is probably due for a pit stop pretty soon here in his Bentley Yamaha. And there he goes. He comes in for a service there. He's gonna be releasing Nicolay into 9th place. Diego Alvarez Trente coming to put him a lap down pretty soon here.
And that's the Mechas running in formation here in 11th and 12th. We'll naturally expect them to swap positions. Doesn't make any sense to have Kazuma running ahead of Shinjo at this point in the race. Although, again, their very slim hopes of Shinjo taking the Drivers' Championship do require a lot more reliability issues than what we're currently seeing.
Big thing for the Mecha team is they're kind of getting a little tight to each other up top of San Francisco Hills. They're only 10 points behind Bentley in the constructors table right now as well, and they're kind of splitting as I tune into Leda and Kalon at the moment. So it's kind of a little tit for tat between them, as with Deleda leading the way. It's giving Bentley Yamaha just enough to get second in the constructors championship as things are standing at the moment.
That's Wilmington recovering from his unscheduled pit stop. Now made it around Andrei Kremnitsky into 6th place. About 20 seconds down the road is Anya Voizu, but we're expecting Voizu to pit again as Humbert Moyamutier making his first and only scheduled pit stop of the race. Just running a very lonely race in the back of the field. He was saying something about potentially winning this race. I'm not entirely sure why he thought he had a chance to win this race, but he's been very much off the pace all weekend, really just has not gotten to grips with this track at all, and at least he's been able to keep it out of the barriers, though, which is more than several other drivers can say.
Yeah, he can basically run his own race. As we have a car off at turn 1, it's Vaclav Mao. She's got a left rear that's completely gone flat on the checkmate.
That's the worst place to have that as well. Like just past pit entry. There's just really unfortunate end to the season there for Vaclav Mao. She was again having a pretty good race there as Ooh, that is Tuna Deleta trying to find a way around Phillippe Nicolas for 8th place. Almost looked like she had it done, but backed out there. Probably wise given the amount of drivers we've seen hit the wall there at Hotel Mandarin, and we'll continue now in 9th position. Still seeing the mecha drivers running with Kazuma in head of Shinjo. I think Tomo Kazuma has been a very disappointing season for her. She's shown flashes of the pace that once made her one of the top prospects in motor racing about a decade ago. But at this point, she's now. But so many times she's been just not really anywhere near her teammate, where you'd normally expect her to be able to at least show the pace. But I guess she's just trying now to show that she does still have what it takes to be a top-line ARWS driver.
And she has basically done as much as she could, maximizing the Mecha Mugen package, and put themselves in as good as a position as they possibly could, and still a chance for second in the Constructors' Championship on the line as Takuma Taki comes in for his last pit stop of the day.
That's Cameron in the pit, sorry.
Or Cameron, rather. Taki will take the lead with Cameron coming in for his last service of the day.
Good service there for Jones, 9.2 pit stop. This will resume him in 3rd place, I believe, as that is also Diego Alvarez Torrente has gone through. Comes out ahead of both of the mechas, so a little bit of traffic in front of Cameron, but not too much, and shouldn't be too difficult to deal with, as they are the slower W12s and V8s mostly, I believe.
The Mecha's going side by side behind Cameron into Lisboa corner. Do figure it out amongst themselves. Shinjo does make the pass stick on Kazama at Lisboa corner. Pretty straightforward move between the two. Orders come in from the pit box. Keep it pretty clean, keep it pretty straightforward. It's going to be Shinjo leading the way. An extra couple points to his favor, but it's still Phillippe Nicolas ahead in this championship. Already pretty slim pickings for Naoki Shinjo. Looks like it's going to be pretty much all she wrote unless something insane happens in these last 23 laps.
He's currently running in 10th place ahead of Kazuma, ahead of Lon and Moyamudie. So, assuming that Nicola retires, that would elevate Shinjo into 9th place. Still needs another 5 cars to retire in the remaining 23 laps of this race. Ooh, Yamamura there, I think, had a little bit of wheel spin there in these tricky conditions. But, yeah, still, math is still looking very marginal for Shinjo to make this work for the championship.
Now, as soon as Phillippe Nicolas hits the 90% marker, which is that lap, and the lap 48, it's pretty much done and through. Is the Drivers' Championship. Waiting for Cameron to come back around. He's just cleared Fisherman's in our bend not that long ago. It is 15 seconds between Taki and Torrente. Cameron coming through our bend now on his out lap. Going to be catching a couple cars pretty soon here. Gap between Torrente and Cameron will be 14 seconds. It's a solid 30 between Takuma Taki and Nathaniel Cameron. So it's pretty much in the favor of Taki at the moment.
Yeah, that is basically a full pit stop that Taki has over Cameron.
Especially with it being going to be a relatively short fuel fill for Taki, as we're looking at Tomo Kazama in for her final service of the day.
And this likely, of course, our last pit stop of our season. 9.5 second stop for the Mecha crew. They can be happy with that, and they will get her back on track in 13th position. That is Akira Yamamura in trouble. I believe Yamamura must have hit the wall there at Hotel Mandarin. Yeah, that is another car just getting out of shape through the very high speed, very tricky and dangerous Hotel Mandarin corner. Big hit there, and that is Yamamura. A very torturous and unlucky season, underratedly unlucky season for Yamamura. Only has made the finish in 2 races and has not scored since, I believe, the British Grand Prix. That is over half the season now ago. And that elevates now Anu Voizu into 4th position, although that position is still under threat as James Wilmington is still continuing to close in on her.
Yes, the gap between the two is at about 14 seconds, with Wilmington having to make an additional stop for an emergency service. He's completed his full pit strategy now and has basically the rest of the race to try and get past the Estonian and driving for Adriatica.
That's it. I think Voizu still owes us a pit stop. I think
Voizu still owes a pit stop. She'll be pitting pretty soon here, I would have to imagine.
Yeah, I think the pit stop window should be opening about 2 to 3 laps here.
So we'll be looking for where she'll end up around Andrei Kurnaminski, with Nathaniel Cameron getting past one of the Holidays here on the front straightaway. He's now got clean racetrack in front of him to get to his teammate Diego Alvarez Trente and potentially try and make some headway to try and close the gap to Taki, because right now it's gonna be tight between him and Takuma Taki, but it looks like it's currently favoring the Japanese driver just a little bit with the shorter fuel stop expected for the Racing Point driver.
Will be absolutely vital to see what kind of lap times Cameron can put in over the next 2 to 3 laps. Again, Taki should be expected in fairly soon here, so there's not a lot of time for Cameron to make that gap back up on these fresh tires. That's really the only advantage he has over Taki is the fresh rubber. And can he just claw a couple of seconds back and get himself back into a position where Taki will come out behind him? It's going to be very, very close between these two to decide that.
Taki entering Fisherman's Corner right now. Diego Alvarez Trente at the Melco hairpin right now. So we're going to be seeing timing and scoring update pretty soon here, with Taki doing another lap at the Macao Guia Circuit. He'll come across the stripe. It'll be a 2:18.87 with a 6 for the Japanese driver. Diego has been doing pretty similar lap times the last little while, with both of them pretty much having the rest of the track all to themselves. Alvarez Trente will lose about half a second here compared to Taki. Here comes Cameron through our bend to start lap 33. Didn't have a great lap with the lap traffic lap time around. He did a 2:18.3, pretty much even with Taki, but he also didn't have...
I think that's about half a second quicker.
I mean, pretty much even for the most part, considering Cameron had to deal with lap traffic kind of at the start of the lap. Tried to make it up through the rest of the lap, and now it's going to be pretty much even between the top 3, all with clean air. So now is the big lap that we're going to see the potential difference between Takuma Taki and Nathaniel Cameron here. It is the less fuel worn tires versus full fuel and fresh tires. Kind of need to see where that difference in relative weight and grip kind of plays out here, and this is kind of crunch time for this race here with Taki needing to make sure that the gap doesn't go to the way of the leading Jones driver in the championship of Cameron.
I just realised, well, I've realised before, but Macau in the wet is interesting.
It's been very interesting. We've seen quite a few cars go off at the Hotel Mandarin. Very difficult track, but in the dry, let alone in the wet, as we see now Taki come through. It's a 2:19.2, not the best lap from Taki there. Perhaps leaving the door open here for Cameron to get back into this race.
Yeah, that's basically the lap that Alvarez Torrente did last time around. Tires starting to fall away a little bit from the Japanese driver, potentially. And same for Torrente. He lost another 4/10 to Taki ahead. It's given Cameron a big ol' hurry up as he goes through our bend here, start lap 34.
2:17.6.
He did a 2:17.687. That is about a second and a bit to the favor of Cameron here. He's put it in the work. Now he has the opportunity to do so. And it's going to be pretty much alarm bells ringing at Racing Point. They need to bring Taki in sooner than later to try and make sure that this really long form undercut doesn't work against Taki, even though he will have the freshest tires and relatively low fuel when he comes in for his second service. We had, for those catch up, Taki had to come in with overheating brakes, had to completely clear out the brake ducts in the Racing Point, or else you probably wouldn't have made the finish. But now, with the added effect of a lot of the other cars around him, particularly Martin McFry, falling by the wayside, he's kind of fallen upwards to be the lead of this race, with Torrente having an issue. We have yellow flags ahead. It is Diego Alvarez Torrente. He is stopped.
There's a puncture
at the top
on
end
the
of
Jones.
the hill, a left rear puncture on the Jones, and he is in a really awkward spot as he is now out of the race from second.
Fortunately, it didn't seem to cause much of a delay for Nathaniel Cameron, but those early season, puncture issues for Jones with the Michelin tires reared their ugly heads at the worst possible time when they had again a double podium on the cards here at Macau. But now it's all their hopes will be with Nathaniel Cameron. He's now trying to hunt down Takuma Taki. He's coming around our bend now, across the line. That's another 2-minute 19.5 lap. Those tires definitely falling away. I believe that is an engine failure for Anu Voizu. And the Estonian is out as well. This is almost starting to look like Shinjo. This is exactly what Shinjo needs to happen, is have a bunch of retirements. But it is very unfortunate for Voizu, who again has driven excellently in this race and will get absolutely no reward for it.
Yeah, she had done just enough to be the best of the W12 runners, but just a really tough break for the Estonian, and she was probably going to be a top 5 finish at the very least. And this is going to move up Phillippe Nicolas into the top 5, another top 5 potentially for the Holiday drivers. Zaituna Deleta as well going to be getting a good result on debut for the Somalian national. It is Taki, Cameron, Wilmington, Andrei Karaminski. It'll be Phillippe Nicolas in 5th, Zaituna Deleta in 6th, and then Shinjo Lon Kazama, and then Mora Moutier will be the last car running. He will be in 10th when timing and scoring cycles through for Diego Alvarez Torrente and Anu Voizu.
And despite that unscheduled pit stop for the I believe it was the electrical issue on James Wilmington, who's now been elevated through the unreliability of his competitors into a podium position, which would be good. If he can hang on to it, that'd be a good result for Wilmington, who, again, had his season very much derailed after the midway point with the suspended race ban and a lot of unreliability hanging over him. It'll be a good way to cap off what has been an up and down season for the Vancouver native.
Nathaniel Cameron found about another second and a bit over Taki last time around, with both of them basically in their own zip code, relatively speaking, on the track. It was a 2:19.1 for Taki, a little bit better go of it last time around compared to what we've seen before from the Japanese driver. Cameron coming through the little short chute between Fisherman's and R Bend, going through the 90-degree right corner. At R Bend now, coming onto the front straightaway. He did a 2:17.9 again. Did the Jones driver another second and a bit to the favor of Cameron's. Starting to work into his favor now. He's going to be in the lead, but only by a couple of seconds when Taki comes in for his second pit stop here.
Yes, it's going to be a balancing act now for Cameron. He's in position to reclaim the lead once Taki makes that second pit stop, but can he nurse these tires to the end of the race and also fend off Taki, who will, of course, have fresh tires of his own once he makes his pit stop? This should be surely within the next 2 to 3 laps now. We should be expecting Taki into the pits anytime now. This also leaves us with only 10 cars still running. With, of course, our leader still Takuma Taki, Nathaniel Cameron in second, James Wilmington in third, Andrei Kremnitsky fourth, Phillippe Nicolas fifth, Saituna Deleta in sixth, Naoki Shinjo in seventh, Kalon in eighth, Tomo Kazuma ninth.
I think Taki's in for a service. I think Taki's coming in for his second pit stop right now.
Right. This will be
Crucial
absolutely
pit stop.
critical.
This is the race potentially on the line here between Racing Point and Jones. Cameron coming down the hill outside of the Melco hairpin through Fisherman's right now. 4 tires and full fuel for Taki. Pretty short fuel fill, 8.8 on the time, but Cameron is already through back into the lead of the race.
And yeah, that is a big gap now for Cameron that he can work with here to fend off Taki, who will be pushing like crazy now to try and make up these last few seconds to over the last 16, 17 laps to try and wrestle the lead back away from Nathaniel Cameron, who's done a great job since his pit stop to pull out this gap. And now we'll have to play defense.
It was all the difference in those last few laps once Cameron got 3 of the lap traffic. That was basically what allowed him to get into the lead of this race, but now it is a straight head-to-head fight between him and the Racing Point driver the rest of the way, and it's going to be a long while before they catch up to lapped cars too. Both of them going through the Solitude S's, and then Andrei Kremnitsky in 4th will be going a lap down here. He's on the run down the hill out the Melco hairpin. It's going to be quite the while before they catch the remaining checkmate driver.
Again, just waiting for timing and scoring to reset itself once they come back across the stripe now, but I'd say Cameron has about 6 or 7 seconds, maybe a little bit more over Taki. And he now comes around the Melco hairpin. And Taki not too far behind. Taki not too far behind. And Yeah, just out of sight, I think, is Cameron of Taki, but he'll probably get a glimpse of the Jones as he rounds Fisherman's Bend here. Yep, there he is, right in the background, and that will signal game on to the Japanese driver as he will try to take home his second career ARWS win. There's a 2:19 flat for Cameron, which is a little bit off his pace earlier, as he's now starting to back off and again having to play defense a little bit here to fend off Taki. Now 6.7 seconds is the gap between them.
The difference between the two in terms of tires is about 7 or 8 laps, and that's going to be playing pretty massively when we get to within 10 laps to go here, when Taki does get to the back of Nathaniel Cameron here. It is just a matter of, can Taki make the move stick, and where does he make it stick? Because we've seen a lot of people try and make that outside move at Hotel Mandarin work, and it just ends up into the barriers there, as we're looking at a Naoki Shinjo coming in for his last pit stop of the race, and presumably of the season as well in the Mecca. They're doing everything they can to try and make this championship a little bit interesting, but Nicolas has been metronomic in the Holiday. It looks like he's going to be continuing a streak of seeing the finish in every race, which has been one of the big factors as to why he's been in the championship hunt and been in control of it most of the way.
Shinjo comes out again behind Tomo Kazuma, which is not ideal for him, but imagine eventually Mecha will make the call to have Kazuma hand that position back to her teammate here. Every point is going to count, especially if Nicolas does actually retire for once, but still a lot of ifs and maybes in this championship fight. Right now it's still looking old for Nicolas. We're seeing now Cameron come around on his first flying lap.
Gap between Cameron and Taki visibly closer with the pair of them coming into our bend. The gap now 3.7 seconds. That's the fastest lap of this race from Takuma Taki at 2:15.85 from the Racing Point. He is not wasting any time trying to get to the back of the Jones of Nathaniel Cameron.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Insane
that's what I thought,
pace.
looking at the map, I was like, Taki's closing in very fast. I think Cameron's cooked here.
Well, catching is one thing, passing very much is another, especially on the track as treacherous as the Macao Guia Circuit. But definitely Taki's got the bit between his teeth, and he's pushing as absolutely hard as he can to try and salvage something from this season for Racing Point. They've had both cars win races, but unreliability has been among the worst of the i3 runners, I feel. Even though their car has probably been the quickest, if not one of the quickest.
And for Cameron right now, he might be going through a pretty bad run of the tires wear cycle right now. We saw that with James Wilmington early on in his first stint, just kind of struggling and losing a bunch of positions, kind of hand over fist. But he now finds himself in third in a pretty quiet race, trying to navigate a couple of lapped cars well behind Taki and well ahead of Andrei Kurminski, with Kurminski in for his second service of the day right now.
I'm not sure exactly where Kurminski will come out. I think he might come out still ahead of Cameron and Taki, which might cause a little bit of a wrench in the works, depending on where they catch the checkmate. Although now Cameron and Taki making their way through our bend.
Kurminski coming out of the pits right now. Limiter released on the checkmate. Getting back up to speed is the Slovakian. He is ahead of Cameron, but not close enough to make the move at Hotel Mandarin. It's probably going to be not even at Lisboa corner for Cameron, as he had a much better lap last time around, but then had a big moment at Hotel Mandarin. It's going to allow Taki to get even a little bit closer as they start to make the run up San Francisco Hill. The gap between the two at the line was only 2.3 seconds after Taki put in that big push lap a couple of laps ago, and now they're nose to tail at the top of San Francisco Hill through Maternity Bend. The Japanese driver all over the back of the Jones Ford, as they both will have to navigate past the checkmate of Krenominski here.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button there.
Yeah, you know what happens.
Yeah, we noticed.
So for Cameron the Briton, he's in a really ugly situation here. He's tremendous pressure from the Japanese driver on way fresher tires, but needs to find a way to get past Andrei Krenominski here. They're gonna be stuck behind Krenominski all the way through to, I would have to assume, through to Fisherman's and to R Bend here at the end of this lap. They're not gonna be close enough to get to him at the Melco hairpin.
Yeah,
nose to tail between the two.
Yeah, I think Cameron's been too preoccupied with defending from Taki to really make any major inroads through on Kremnitsky through the twisty part of the circuit, and now head around Fisherman's Bend down to R Bend. Oh, Taki there got a little out of shape.
Issue. Big tank slapper middle apex there is going to give Cameron a bit of breathing space, with blue flags starting to wave pretty violently from the corner workers trying to get Krenominski out of the way here. Krenominski not really too inclined to do so at the moment. It's going to put Cameron into an ugly position, but he's going to have the inside for Hotel Mandarin. He will get past the Slovakian real close. He's going to open the door for Taki. He's going to take the lead of the race from Nathaniel Cameron, with Cameron trying to not get into the barrier himself, and Taki also cleared Andrei Krenominski at the same time. Cameron will get past Krenominski at Lisboa corner, but that has effectively given Taki this race on a silver platter, with Cameron trying to get past Krenominski at Hotel Mandarin, running way too hot, kind of middle apex to exit, but did just enough to avoid clattering the Armco barrier to his left. New leader, it is Takuma Taki with 12 laps to go.
Yes, that was a very good patient move there for Taki. That was, again, laying back a little bit on the entrance to Hotel Mandarin there, waiting to see exactly how Cameron would play the attempt to lap Kremnitsky. And yeah, that really very much worked to his favor when Cameron, as you say, overcooked it through the middle apex of the corner. And Taki just had the time and space to carry as much speed as he could through that corner and sweep past the pair of them.
It was good wherewithal from Takuma Taki to let the situation kind of solve itself before he kind of made his move, and being able to get past both Cameron and Krenominski in one fell swoop has been a master stroke for the Japanese driver, going for another victory here for 2023.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Gonna see the gap cycle through with the timing and scoring. It is 2.9 seconds from Taki to Cameron, and it's probably gonna continue to grow here the rest of the way, with the difference in relative pace with tires and fuel between the two. But it is still gonna be a good result for Nathaniel Cameron, the Briton, driving for Jones. As it stands, it's gonna be the fourth podium in a row with for the team, with 2 victories for Cameron and a podium for Diego Alvarez Torrente that he got at a Fuji. It'll be a good way to end the season, and probably be worth maybe even another position or two in the constructors table. They might overhaul Block Monster and get 11th in the constructors table as a result, if Cameron's going to be able to make it to the end here with John Bean and Akira Yamamura, both non-finishers. It is Taki, Cameron, Wilmington, Krenominski, Saituna Deleta, your 5th place runner. Then it's Phillippe Nicolas, Kalon, Naoki Shinjo, Tomo Kazama, and Humbert Muramushi, the last runner, in 10th at the moment, coming to 10 laps to go.
So you notice that Shinjo has also gotten around Kazama on this lap, so that is Mecha making the swap there, but again, still waiting on any potential retirement for Phillippe Nicolas. It would need to be within the next 5 laps or so if they're going to have any shot of stealing this title away from him.
They would need Nicola retire, and then a couple more cars ahead to retire as well. So we would be looking at Nathaniel Cameron, Andrei Krenominski, or Zaytuna Deleta to retire there to get Shinjo into 4th, and it's starting to look like pretty slim pickings because it's a couple of the W12 runners ahead. They've had pretty okay reliability, and then it is just, we're looking at James Wilmington, who looks to be okay to go to the end, and Takuma Taki should be okay to go to the end, and then it's just a question of, does the Jones have another puncture issue? Does the Ford EcoBoost let go? It's just one of those things that's still up into the ether if Shinjo still thinks he has a chance at a championship.
That's another 2.7 seconds faster on that lap Taki was than Cameron. He's absolutely flying in his own zip code, just running his own race now, completely untroubled by anybody in front or behind him. And as for Cameron, I think right now it's just a case of conserving this car to the end and just banking the points here, because he's not going to catch back up. As, oh my goodness, that is Tomo Kazama. Kazama out of the race with an electrical issue, it seems, and again, the mecha reliability has not been on par with that of the Holiday, and again, it's Tomo Kazama getting the worst of it, as she has really all season. This is, I think, her 4th or 5th retirement this season. Very, very unfortunate for the Japanese driver.
And her fifth retirement in 6 races as well. So like all of her reliability woes came in the flyaways in the second half of the season, when otherwise she was pretty much keeping pace with what Phillippe Nicolas and her teammate Naoki Shinjo was able to do in terms of their long run championship form. It's just the wagon just completely fell off for the Japanese driver. It's been unusual to see that just with one driver in the V8 engine cars.
Yes, because the only other V8 retirement we've seen so far is Humbert Moyamuti, and that was a crash at Loudon. That wasn't a mechanical issue. That was just a crash damage. So that's the big question for Mecha Grand Prix that they're going to have to solve going into 2024 is, why did they get all of this unreliability specifically for Tomo Kazama?
Gap continuing to grow between Taki and Cameron, now at 7.5 seconds, but Cameron is a full minute and 20 seconds ahead of James Wilmington in the Burt Andefeld machine. Pretty much unpressured is most of the field against each other at the moment. Taki, Cameron, Wilmington, Krenominski, Zaytuna, Deleta, the top 5. Deleta versus Nicolas might be a battle kind of when we get to the end of this race. They're not too far away from each other as we're following Wilmington getting ready to lap Nicolas not too far away. The gap between Deleta and Nicolas is about 14 seconds. So there is a possibility, depending on how they're able to navigate through the last bit of the tire life, but it's just not seeming like everyone's pretty much running their own race at the moment. We're following Nathaniel Cameron. He goes through the Melco hairpin. Probably gonna be another second and a bit to the favor of Taki here, but Taki's gonna be having a little bit of lap traffic to deal with ahead of him here.
Yes, but of course now with that 7.5 second lead, or likely more than that now, Taki can afford to take his time a little bit, but probably doesn't want to take too much time because you don't want to be caught behind a V8 runner through the twisty part of this track heading up San Francisco Hill. And it's indeed a 9-second gap now as Cameron again, he's starting to really struggle on those worn tires now. As Humbert Moyamutier obeying the blue flags there, allowing Taki through just before San Francisco Hill. Good sporting move there by the Frenchman. But yeah, Cameron definitely starting to struggle now as he gets towards the end of this run on the Michelins. Again, it's not a question of trying to chase down Taki, it's just a question of trying to bank the points that he currently is on track for.
I believe it is the top 3 still on the lead lap. Krenominski got put a lap down a couple of laps ago. The Nicolas and Lon, I believe, 2 laps down. Same for Shinjo. I think Morimutier just got put his 3rd lap down here by Taki at the start of the lap.
Wilmington putting a lap on Nicolas, but then getting it a little bit overcooked on the exit of Hotel Mandarin. I think that should still be Wilmington out in front of Nicolas there. And got a bit of clear running ahead of him. I think it was really only the Kahama Bentley of Satuna Deleta really for Wilmington to worry about in terms of traffic for the rest of the race.
Crucial now for the likes of Nicolas just to get past that 90% classification point, which will come for him when Taki's on lap 50. Lap 48 for all the runners is that lap that they need to hit to get the classified for points, which will lock up the championship for Phillippe Nicolas. Because there's then going to be no way that Naoki Shinjo can overhaul him on points if they're both guaranteed to score points. Is Cameron driving a little angry trying to get past Morimutier. He kind of caught Morimutier at the similar spot that Taki did last time around, but trying to zigzag around the Holiday driver while he's also trying to get up San Francisco Hill made for a pretty awkward transaction. It's going to be, it was 11.5 seconds between Taki and Cameron last time around, probably be closer to 14 between the Japanese and the Briton when they come around to start their next respective laps. Taki's previous finishes were New Hampshire, and then he had a 3rd Circuit of the Americas. He won at Sepang shortly after. Then he didn't have a classified finish, even though he didn't make it to the flag at Fuji. And that's kind of been the big difference between him and Bastian van Nieuwenhuizen, is that the fact that he just finished twice as many times as did his championship-winning Dutch teammate. And it's going to be another big haul for him today. He's going to probably finish 7th in the championship with this haul, because it's been pretty tight from Emma Kickert, who was 7th in the championship heading into the Macau Grand Prix, all the way down to Takuma Taki and Vaclav Malish. The gap between them was about 36 points, 7th to 12th in points. So a big overhaul for Taki is going to move him within a pretty respectable championship result, although it's going to be pretty much left wanting for William Sori's team at Racing Point.
Of course, Taki does have the 20-point bonus as well for the fastest lap coming his way. I don't see anybody beating that. Ooh, Moimuti there, again getting a little bit in the way of Andrei Komnitsky as the checkmate gets to put a lap on Moimuti. But yes, that is the likely the fastest lap going the way of Takuma Taki, and thus the extra 20 bonus points. I don't see anybody beating that 215.8 unless somebody needs to, somebody comes in late with a mechanical issue and then throws on fresh tires going for a bit of a glory run here. But even then, that would probably have to be Nathaniel Cameron doing that.
Couple lapped cars ahead of Takuma Taki to be putting down, I believe 3 down at this point. It is Naoki Shinjo and K-Lon battling for position amongst themselves for 7th, putting Takuma Taki in a pretty awkward position. Shinjo will let Taki go, exiting the Melco hairpin, basically surrendering that position to Lon, at least for the little while. With Lon pretty much in his own race the entire time, pretty disinterested going into this weekend, coming to Macau, and he gives Taki a little bit of a sideswipe as he gets lapped here by the Japanese driver. It's also going to open the door for Shinjo to get right back up to the back of the German after they lost a bunch of time at Melco Hairpin. They went side by side into Hotel Mandarin, but Shinjo was forced to back out of it with Lon slamming the door in front of the Mecha driver. There is a pretty significant difference in pace between the two of them, with Shinjo on the 2-stop. The tires a much better shape than it is for the German driving for his own team at the moment. Still a position on the line here with 5 laps to go. It is this 1-stop versus the 2-stop battle revolving itself with 5 laps to go here.
Interestingly enough, likely even with dealing with the being lapped by Takuma Taki, Shinjo put in an identical lap time on the previous lap, 2K long, and is really hounding the German in the much more powerful W12 Bentley as they now head in the run up to the Melco hairpin in a couple of turns, and then will be released on the run down to Fisherman's. We'll have to see if Shinjo can effectively work the slipstream here and make up for the power deficits that he has to the Bentley.
It'll be Nathaniel Cameron probably catching these two in the next couple of laps. He'll have his own situation trying to get past these two who are battling for position. Blue flag rules do get a little bit more lax in case the cars that are getting lapped are battling for position. It's just more a case of at convenience at this point rather than at a necessity. Shinjo didn't get the best run out of R. Ben, and now with the difference in power, it's going to be losing a lot of time to K-Lon here on the front straightaway.
Yeah, as you can see that Bentley just easing away into the distance. Shinjo not close enough, although he is able to carry much more speed there through Hotel Mandarin, but that distance is too much to make up by the time they break for the Lisboa corner, and it will be another lap spent behind the Bentley for Naoki Shinjo.
And now they're getting caught up by Nathaniel Cameron here, who made up a whole bunch of time on the both of them. Probably getting like a little bit of a whiff of the draft from the two of them at the very end before breaking for Lisboa. He's caught them now through maternity, basically caught them through maternity bend, getting into the past Moorish Hill and into the Solitude S's here. Shinjo has caught right back up to the gearbox of the Bentley Yamaha, but just nowhere to go through the Solitude S's here. With now Cameron joining the scene as well. Probably going to be wanting to get past them as soon as possible. Might be lapping them here at the same spot that Taki did at the Malco hairpin. At this rate, as now Shinjo's kind of backed off a little bit from the back of Lon as they make it through turn 18, going into 19. This kind of banked left-hander, and Shinjo's going to let Cameron go around the outside, kind of an awkward spot. Cameron trying to eke past, but not quite able to as it narrows down, and Shinjo's forced to completely back out of it as it goes down to one lane before the Melco hairpin. Kind of an awkward transaction there as Nicola gets lapped by... actually gets this door slammed in front of him by Zaytuna Deleta. They're now battling for position. It looked like I thought it was going to be Taki putting them both a lap down. It was Wilmington putting them both a lap down not that long ago, with Cameron now getting past Lon. So we've got a couple battles for position here. Both of the Bentley Yamaha still with something to battle for here, with Zaytuna Deleta pulling off Phillippe Nicolas here. And then K-Lon trying to hold off Naoki Shinjo for 7th as well. And notable as well for Nicola, he just completed, he just started lap 48, so he will be classified, and that is the championship done. With 5 laps to go in the 2023 campaign, it'll be Phillippe Nicolas, the driver's champion for the returning ARWS in 2023.
A very well-deserved champion, he is as well. Nicola, of course, an 11-time winner in the series, has been runner-up previously in 2014 and third a couple of times, I think, in 2017 and 2018. Has been with a number of very competitive teams over his long career, most notably with MRT, where he made his debut back in 2012, and really was a big part of the build of that team into the juggernaut they became in the mid-2010s. Spent a couple of years in Aerotech. Not really a bit of a downturn in terms of competitiveness was the move to Aerotech, but still was able to eke out a couple of wins. Then I think he went back to MRT for a season, then drove for the Vauclés Grand Prix engineering team. So he's been all around the top teams throughout most of his career, and although in terms of top teams, Holiday is not one of those fighting for the race wins that he's very much accustomed to at this point in his career. But definitely a bit of a savvy move by the Frenchman to put himself with, of course, the Ultimate Constructors Champions for this season, and now it's delivered him that long-awaited Drivers' Championship.
The Constructors' Championship was also effectively locked up for Holiday last time out at Suzuka, with just the nature of how much points that would need to be overhauled, specifically by Mecca or Bentley, to try and make up the difference. So it is a double championship for Holiday going through these last couple of laps here, as Nicolas still all over the back of Zaytuna Deleta, and kind of a similar situation what's happening behind with Lon and Shinjo, where the quicker car is behind, but not quicker where it counts, is the best way to describe it, with the W12 Bentleys of Lon and Deleta able to just eke out just enough of a gap on this front straightaway here, while we see both Nicola and Shinjo make up all of that difference through the tight technical section at the top of this Macao Guia Circuit. And we're going to see that gap kind of eke out a little bit more once again, with Deleta, the Somalian national, able to eke away from the Holiday Mugen.
And Nicola carrying a bit more speed through the middle of the corner there, but Delata able to just use that power of the Bentley W12 to just ease away on the run down to R-Bend, although Nicola pretty close there coming out of R-Bend. Can he get enough of the slipstream?
Gonna get a good slipstream here, going down the front straightaway here, going to Hotel Mandarin. He's gonna be on the offline here, gonna be on the outside, but backs out of it plenty of time. Didn't really try and force the issue so much with Zaytuna Delata, but especially not with the wall on the outside, always welcoming. We saw a number of cars smack that and then retire on the spot with the amount of damage that was done to their machines. That was kind of one of the big things that set a lot of the retirements, was a lot of cars hitting that outside barrier at Hotel Mandarin, and then we saw a couple more do so at the top of San Francisco Hill. So pretty much a stalemate at the moment in the battles for 5th and 7th respectively. Taki has eked out 20 seconds over Cameron through this final stint of the race. He was about 6 or so seconds behind the Briton when the stint started, but made that up in incredibly short order and made mincemeat of that after Cameron made an unforced error trying to pass a lapped car at a Hotel Mandarin himself. Taki is on the 2 to go lap here. He's on the top end of the track, kind of behind these two. He might put Wilmington 1 lap down or be kind of within earshot of him.
I don't think he's going to catch Wilmington.
Don't catch it. Yeah, it'll just be the 3 cars remaining on the lead lap. Taki might catch these 2 if they continue to battle amongst themselves. He'll be taking the 1 to go when he passes R-Bend behind these 2 battling for the last spot in the top 5. Nicola's pretty close to Zaytuna Delata this time around, much closer than he was last lap with Taki taking the 1 to go. So it's going to be effectively the last lap for these 2 as well, with Nicola affecting to stay behind. He's got a good run through Hotel Mandarin. It'll be side by side between the 2 for 5th position. It's going to be a battle of the late breakers here, with Nicola taking the spot over Zaytuna Delata. The difference in relative pace was just too much for the rookie to handle, with the tires just letting go a little bit too much for the driver making their ARWS debut.
And what a move from Phillippe Nicolas. That is absolutely incredible to be getting around the car with that much more power than him. Just few through sheer grit and determination, and that will be him into 5th position, looking like it will be as he looks to secure this championship in style.
It's gonna let past Taki here, presumably. 1 less lap he'll have to deal with before coming home to a championship result.
Yeah,
it is
that's
Taki, Cameron, Wilmington, Krenovinsky, and Nicola will be 5th here. Yeah, running out of time to get the lap down done here. It's gonna be probably at the exit of the Melco hairpin or before Fisherman's Corner.
Yeah, save the lap, save the wear on the car.
Blue flags starting to wave here. Coming down the hill one last time. Takuma Taki had early issues, forced a mechanical repairs on his racing point, but with everybody else falling by the wayside, he has been the big benefactor of it all. He will put Phillippe Nicolas an extra lap down as they make it through R-Bend for the last time. It is Takuma Taki winning the Macau Grand Prix for Racing Point, and following in short order is Phillippe Nicolas winning the World Drivers' Championship for Holiday. Incredible performance from Taki tonight. An incredible performance from Nicolas all season. One of the veterans and one of the best drivers in in ARWS getting his due finally. A great result for Nicolas, as Cameron will get Jones's 4th podium in a row to conclude their partnership with Ford that's gone on for more than a decade. We'll be waiting a while for Wilmington. We'll be seeing Kalon get 7th. He was able to hold off Naoki Shinjo. As Andrei Konominski will be splitting the difference between them. He will get 4th. A good result for Checkmate to end their campaign in ARWS. Shinjo will finish 8th. Did as much as he could to try and put pressure on Nicolas in these last few rounds of the championship, but just was not able to get over the bridge, as it were, get across that gap, as it was just too much by the end of the season, with Nicolas just putting in a great performance throughout. And it'll be Humbert Mormuche, the last finisher here, did everything he could to make sure that Holiday would get a Constructors' Championship crown at the end of it, which was effectively locked in after last time out at Suzuka Circuit. So it's another top 10 for Mormuche, as we're waiting for Wilmington, who'll be the last finisher. He'll get a podium for Team Bert Andeveld. Another finish for Wilmington after Edvard Holm was initially leading the race, or near the front of the field for a time. He had another mechanical issue, and Wilmington had an issue himself, was able to get it repaired in the pit stops, and has been able to soldier on, and he will round out the podium with Taki, Cameron, and himself in 3rd.
So it was a 24.5 second margin in the end for Takuma Taki. James Wilmington, the only other car in the lead lap. Andrei Kremnitsky, the only car 1 lap down. And of course, Nicolas put 2 laps down just before the end. Moi Moutier finishing 3 laps down. And then it's the long list of retirements. Kazuma with that electrical issue. Again, Mecca really needs to take a look at those issues that she's been dealing with for this season. It's very, very strange to see all that happen on one side of the on one side of the garage like that. Diego Alvarez Torrente was looking to make it a double podium for Jones before his unfortunate puncture late in the going. Anu Voizu had another excellent race go up in smoke along with her Harman motor. Akia Yamamura, one of the many victims of the Hotel Mandarin corner, just getting offline there into the wall. Vassad Malish also suffered a puncture for his checkmate. Martin McFry and Benoit Pouclet both crashed out in very close to each other time-wise. Edvard Holm was leading, was looking like he might be able to pull off a sensational win here. But for the 13th time in 13 races, he did not see the checkered flag, and it's a devastatingly unlucky season for the Dane. Gary Pacer, of course, he was... it was looking all good for Gary Pacer to take his 2nd win early in this race before... that unforced error trying to get past Edvard Holm when those two were effectively still needed to make one more pit stop. So again, Pacer just made that mistake at Hotel Mandarin Band, put himself out of the race. Very disappointing result for himself and for March 16, who definitely looked like the quickest car and driver package early on, at least. Koyumi Seto also crashed out for Euromotor, as did Monica Flatter. Engine failures took out Jesus Castel and Carmen Alvarez Torrente. Transmission failures did the same for Bastian van Neuenhuizen and John Bean. And Jorge Alvarez Torrente, Emma Kickert, the first of those, again, to crash out at Hotel Mandarin Bend. As for the fastest laps of the race, Takuma Taki only just seized that title from Gary Pacer. It was 7/1000ths of a second between the pair, and that just shows just how quick Gary Pacer was in the opening stint of this race, he probably would have had the fastest lap and pole position to cap off what could have been a very dominant performance for him, but unfortunately it just didn't come to pass. BVN lodging the third fastest lap gets the 5-point bonus there. And looking down towards the back of the field, we're seeing the lap time drop off there. Particularly noteworthy is the Bentleys, who were just so very confusingly very far off the pace. I can't imagine that was all down to Kalon and his own reluctance to put in a solid weekend's effort here, but even then, that's slower than both of the Mechas, slower than both of the Holidays as well. Well, not slower than both of the Holidays, because Helmut Moimuti, with 11 seconds slower on his personal fastest lap, but he did get the points for finishing the race, and that's what they pay him to do. And that's what's delivered Holiday their Constructors' Championship, and it's enabled them also to focus on Phillippe Nicolas, who delivered them their Drivers' Championship. So it's a championship double for Holiday Racing. Phillippe Nicolas, your Drivers' Champion. And we will see you shortly for the start of the 2024 season. See you soon.